Am I the asshole for refusing to inherit the family farm and giving it to my younger brother instead?
I, 36M, grew up on a big farm that was owned by my family, who worked as farmers for generations.
Much to the detriment of my parents, I hated the farm life from a very young age. I never liked dirt or grime, and farm animals were also never my thing. So to no one's surprise, I left the farm when I turned 18 and never looked back. I currently live in a big city. I still love my family very much and visit the farm from time to time, but I'm always the happiest when I return to my urban lifestyle. My mother passed away 3 years ago, and 2 months ago I unexpectedly lost my father due to a work accident. This left my younger brother Tom, 30M, and I, as the sole beneficiaries of their estate. I didn't expect to be left with much, since my folks helped me out financially more than enough times while they were still alive. I honestly only wanted a couple of family trinkets and heirlooms to keep as a keepsake. But to my surprise, as my brother and I sat down with the attorney to discuss our father's will, we discovered that I was left with the majority of the farm, about 3/4, while Tom was left with the rest. The only reason I can fathom behind this decision is that unlike Tom, I have 2 children, 10M and 7F, so maybe that's why I was given the bigger share. But I'm not entirely sure since my children had their own inheritance in the will. Either way, this split of inheritance was ridiculous, since unlike myself, Tom actually lived on the farm and dedicated his entire life to working on it alongside our parents. I saw that Tom was also shaken up by the decision, so I reassured him that I found it absurd as well and I don't mind forfeiting the land to him. Tom said I didn't have to do that, but I insisted. After some back and forth on the topic, we mutually agreed to settle this between ourselves on a later date, when everything would be transferred under our names as our parents intended. I recently informed my wife Jules, 35F, of my decision regarding my inheritance, and she is furious with me for wanting to give most of it up. She is arguing that my decision is impulsive and short-sighted, since the farmland is worth a fortune and I'm just giving it away without a second thought. I told her that the land is worth a fortune only for those who actually intend on doing something with it, and since I neither intend to sell it or farm on it, it's effectively useless to me. Jules continued to say that it might be useless to me, but I should think about our children who might one day want to start farming. I told her in that case I'll transfer only half of the land to Tom, so our children could have a 1/4 of the land at their disposal in the hypothetical scenario they get into farming one day. Jules is now not speaking with me until I reconsider my decision. I need to hear some unbiased opinions to see if I'm in the wrong here. Not the asshole, I may be way off, but it sounds like your wife saw a load of money slip from her fingers and she's angry rather than seeing the situation for what it is. You wanted nothing to do with the farm, but your brother has been there his whole life taking care of it. The split at the very least should have been 50-50. I think the scenario your wife gave of your children growing up and wanting to start farming is a stretch. You live in the city, they are growing up around urban lifestyle. I don't know your kids, but I don't think they're eager to start living that farm life. If she's that worried, keep 1/4 like you mentioned. Not the asshole, it's your inheritance, not Jules. You should do what you feel is right, and while she's free to have an opinion on the topic, she's an asshole. She's also full of crap about the farming. She just wants the money. Deed it to your brother, with the stipulation if he sells the land you get half. That's what we did. Not the asshole, you are correct. Unless the farm is sold, or unless you want to work it, it is worth not much to you. Sounds like your wife was hoping you would take what yours cash out and she would have a nice payday. It is your inheritance. She's not entitled to a single penny. Just in case your children suddenly want to start farming, consider doing what you planned and leaving 1/4 to them. My sense is that she had big plans for that money. Similar to when someone leaves a mortgage-free home to 2 parties and one of them buys the other out to retain owner. You're doing the right thing by your family. It's yours, do with it whenever you want. Your wife is the asshole and way out of line. She's being greedy and she gets no vote. It wasn't left to her. Ask if she's looking forward to paying monumental property tax on land you don't want or need. Your poor brother. Does she expect you to sell it out from under him? You are a good man and brother. What's the likelihood kids raised in the city are suddenly going to want the manual labor life of a farmer? It's no flipping picnic. Not the asshole. Sue, how much taxes are you going to have to pay on this farmland that you won't be using?
Is your brother going to be expected to work the entirety of the land that you have majority ownership of and only get a fraction of the revenue it generates? There are a lot of things to be taken into consideration here.
I honestly think your wife is being greedy and using your guy's children as a smokescreen.
Am I the asshole for not getting my partner food after they didn't cook?
Hi, I'm at 27M in my first year of residency.
My work life, as expected, is exhausting. It feels like I spend all my time in the hospital, 72 hours per week, as I have yet to have a weekend off, which I could really use to just sit on my balcony, staring at the Pacific for hours on end. This past Saturday, I worked my very first 24-hour shift, and it nearly killed me. My back was aching, my feet were tired, and my brain felt like it needed a factory reset.
On Sunday, I worked from 5 o'clock to 1800, which wasn't too bad.
Whenever I have any downtime, I always make sure to check in on my partner, as they work from home, to see how their day is going and to talk about whatever. While we were on the phone, I asked them if they would make my favorite dish, which is simply katsu with brown rice and a lot of katsu sauce. They agreed, and I was ecstatic as I haven't had a homemade meal in a while since I don't have the energy to cook when I get home and usually just grab something when I get off work, if something I like is still open.
I live a little over an hour and a half outside of the city, but there was a terrible car accident on the highway, so my drive home took well over 2 hours. I pulled up hungry, ready to eat, but when I walked into the kitchen from the garage, there was no cooked food at all. I was pissed and called out my partner's name and asked them to come here, but they didn't answer. I went upstairs and found them in their office, playing games on their PC. I asked them to stop so we could talk, and I asked why they didn't cook as they said they would. They admitted they got distracted after getting off work and forgot about it. I said that's fine, but I would have really appreciated it if they had at least called me to let me know so that I could have stopped to get something while I was already out. I also told them that I felt they were being inconsiderate, as they know how much I have to work and how tired I am when I get home. I can admit that my tone when we were speaking was stern, but I felt it was called for. They called me an asshole for yelling at them for forgetting this little thing. After we were done, I was hungry, so I grabbed my keys and went to get something to eat for myself. I saw that, while I was waiting, they texted me their order, but I ignored them. When I got back home and they saw I didn't get them anything, they called me a petty asshole and went back upstairs. I didn't say anything out loud as I wasn't in the mood and just wanted to eat, shower, and go to bed. So, am I the asshole? I don't think you are the asshole in this situation. Your partner agreed to cook for you, knowing how tired you were and that you wouldn't have the energy to do it yourself. When they forgot, they not only didn't bother to let you know, but they also got defensive when you expressed your disappointment. I hope you're doing good though. I'd say not the asshole.
You were tired and just got distracted and forgot the little thing that is your partner's order. They should totally understand. It's a little thing after all, and also not like you promised you'd get them anything. As an aside, if you're working 70+ hours a week, then living 1.5 hours away from your place of work is not sustainable.
Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'm a nurse. I graduated in 2020 and holy shit, when I first started working, I was on a COVID ICU. It was hellacious. We were so understaffed I was working 16-hour shifts 5 days in a row. My abusive ex-husband could not give less of a shit how I felt after a hard shift. He made me cook when I got home or drive super far to pick up whatever he wanted for dinner. And well, there's a reason he's an ex. Not saying your partner has to be an ex, but this is a big bright red flag in my opinion. Good luck, less than 3. Why are you even trying to date at this point? You ain't got no time for that. How do you expect them to text you to warn you that they've forgotten to do something? If they remembered it enough to text you about it, presumably they'd remember to do it in the first place. I don't understand how you can expect to be warned about an unforeseen situation unless you hear someone say, "I forgot," and interpret it as, "I chose not to do it on purpose." Am I the asshole for refusing to participate in a grandma shower at my office? Hi Reddit. I admittedly have some bias when it comes to baby-related stuff, so I could use some opinions. Something about my workplace. Remember the party planning committee in the office? Well, we basically had that.
The committee usually is responsible for buying everyone a cake and card on their birthday, and we'll have themed lunches every now and then. 4th of July barbecue, international potluck for the Olympics, Cinco de Mayo tacos, you get the gist. Now, an important element of this story is the fact that I've always loved baking and am quite good at it.
So every time we have a themed lunch, I always bring a baked good that fits the theme.
It's gotten to the point where people are always trying to guess what I'll bring and are always super excited to see what I'll do next.
Generally, I love it and have fun with it. Until now. About a week ago, my coworker announced she's expecting a granddaughter in the fall.
An email went around and I sent congratulations.
Fine.
However, since then, the party planning committee has announced that we will be hosting a grandma shower for my coworker for lunch next week, and they've been circulating a sign-up sheet for everyone to bring food as well as the baby registry and encouraging everyone to participate in a diaper drive.
Notably, I've never met my coworker's daughter and thus seriously doubt I'd ever meet this baby girl. So far, there have been about 6 emails about this shower. I've been ignoring them all.
Then, today, one of my coworkers came into my office and asked why I hadn't signed up to bring dessert yet.
Now, here's where I may be I basically told her I wasn't planning on baking something and didn't think I was going to participate in the shower.
When asked why, I just said that, to be honest, I don't know coworker's daughter and didn't really feel like getting someone I don't know a present for a baby I'll never meet.
My coworker made a face and said she understood, but that grandma coworker might be disappointed. On the one hand, I feel like maybe I'm the asshole and I could have just baked some brownies and called it a day to participate and not hurt anyone's feelings. But on the other hand, I find it absolutely ridiculous to host a grandma shower and expect people to bring gifts for a random baby. I feel like I am right in standing on principle on this, but at the same time I know I have some bias here. For context, my husband and I have been trying to have a baby for years and we are currently undergoing IVF treatments, so I know I'm a little sensitive about babies right now. No one at work knows, so I know they're not trying to be cruel. But at the same time, being confronted with babies left and right is also extremely draining for me. IDK, Reddit. Am I the asshole for refusing to participate, or should I just suck it up and participate with everyone else? Editing to add some additional context. As many people have guessed, yes, this is the South and the party planning committee is all Southern white women in their 50-60th sass. I didn't realize how glaringly obvious that was law.
As far as grandma is concerned, I don't necessarily think she pushed for the shower, but she's definitely going along with it. Not sure if that affects anyone's opinion, but I saw several people assume she's a mother-in-law from hell, and I don't necessarily think that is the case.
Also, mom-to-be apparently had a baby shower last weekend, and another email has been sent out about an hour ago stating that they got so many infant-sized diapers at their shower that they're asking we buy diapers the next size up for the granny shower. I don't know what to even say to that. And yes, we got bad news IVF-wise last week, and I realize I'm emotional and may not be super objective right now, pensive face.
Not the asshole, and a grandma shower is just ridiculous and not a thing.
The mother-to-be will get a baby shower. Throwing an additional one and calling it a grandma shower is just tacky.
You're not the asshole for not wanting to be involved in a forced office-initiated gift grab for someone who's not even having the baby themselves. If folks are friends with their coworkers, then sure, get them some congratulatory card or trinket, but a grandma shower is too much. It's not easy to stick to your principles on something, especially when someone will take it personally, but it doesn't mean you're wrong. You're not wrong. They're asking for too much.
Not the asshole. This is the forced, dumb street that people hate about offices. Grandma shower is one of the dumber things I've heard. Not the asshole. We will be hosting a grandma shower.
This is not a thing.
I organized one for my office. The granny in question organized everyone's wedding, birthday, and new baby dose. She was too old at time to get any of those benefits, and it seemed too one-sided. So look at bigger picture. What does granny contribute to office, because maybe all for her and baby just an excuse. Though that was simple: card, earplugs, teddy, chocolates. Acknowledging her was the key bit. Not the asshole. And good for you for not sharing your personal struggles with the office. It's none of their business.
The level of ridiculousness about celebrating everything is right up there with participation trophies. This party is a life participation trophy.
And it's tacky as hell.
Just tell them you are not participating and leave it at that.
Am I the asshole for not caring that my boyfriend's parents can't retire?
My 26F boyfriend, 28M, and I live in a low cost of living city. Both have good white-collar jobs with decent salaries, and should be able to afford a nice life. My boyfriend is an immigrant and had worked very hard to get where he is now in his career, and yet he can't reap any of the benefits.
My boyfriend's parents are mid-50s and apparently ready to retire.
They live back in his home country where cost of living and taxes are pretty low, and are both college-educated professionals who have worked steadily for over 25 years, receiving great salaries. However, my boyfriend's father has made some very poor real estate investments and financial choices over the past decade that have essentially decimated their retirement fund.
My partner's parents are now asking that he send them money every month to finance their upcoming retirement.
The amount they have demanded, and he has begun sending, is well over half his monthly paycheck. He makes over $5,000 a month, with only $700 in rent and no car, and yet is barely getting by due to the money he has to send back home. Essentially, he is struggling and living paycheck to paycheck with no savings so they can have a comfortable early retirement. Before his parents proposed, or rather demanded, this arrangement, we were planning on buying a house, getting married, and starting a family in the next 2-3 years. Now, I have no idea how we can swing that.
I work full-time, but make less than my partner and can't finance all of that on my own. I love that my boyfriend cares so much about his family and is so generous, but this is absurdly selfish of his parents in my opinion. We had a discussion last night regarding our future, and he more or less said that this is the way it's going to be and he will just have to make more money. While I appreciate his drive, you can't really just make more money overnight. It can take years to climb the corporate ladder to a significant level, and he doesn't even have the money to start some kind of side gig. I think this is partially due to our conflicting cultural values growing up in very different parts of the world, but I'm feeling really upset about this situation. I'm upset that his parents are choosing to watch their child struggle so they can live lavishly, and I'm upset that he is sacrificing or putting our future at risk due to his father's poor investment choices. Am I the asshole? NTAA. Leave your boyfriend. If he makes more money, they're going to ask for more.
Let him burn himself out without sacrificing your future on him or his selfish parents.
What happens if you have kids? What happens if you have an emergency? Your boyfriend is willing to sacrifice his life. Let him go. 50 seems too young to retire. Not the asshole. Sometimes you have to let go of someone who's treading water before they make you drown too. Not the asshole.
Imagine being so entitled that you think you can retire in your mid-50s and your son will support you. Imagine thinking that your sunset years are more important than his early career.
Your relationship is over. It's just a question of when you do something about it. Not the asshole. Nah. Sadly, there is no easy resolution to this impasse. You will have to decide whether you can live with always being second or third on his priority list. Good luck.